All of the remaining clans reach out and speak to Earth, but they get one message while getting the responses from the clans that is not from a clan and is almost impossible to trace. The voice simply comes with a cryptic message. To the leader of Sol 3, also known as Earth, you are not to protect clanners in your space. We warn you, this will bring apart your destruction. Sin listened to it, and then in front of everybody, he simply turned and erased it. And this action made everyone laugh and raised a lot of morale. It was not long before the clan jump ships began to arrive. And a voice sent out to all of them, "Attention, all clan ships. You are to keep your jump ships beyond our lunar orbit for your own safety. When coming to the planet, you will be allowed a single drop ship. The current situation is volatile, so for your own safety, please follow instructions that we give you." The clan dropships, without giving any problems, are brought down one at a time and set on the pads less than 200 meters away from each other. Instructions force them to keep their weapons powered off at all times. When they reach the ground, they see battle mechs patrolling nearby. They are out of weapons range, but it's obvious that they are on a location just in case. The clan emissaries are taken to the same meeting room that Sin holds his meetings for the council. Each of the chairs has the clan symbol carved into it. Once everyone is assembled, Sin walks in and sits down without having anyone else stand up as he walks in. This confuses the clansmen a little because it is against their ways. The general pipes up. "Since everyone is here, we'll begin. I do believe that you all know each other. However, I must introduce myself. I am General Sin of the new Confederate Forces, of planet Earth and its colonies. I have called you all here for a purpose, a single purpose. As you all know, this planet has fought off the invasion from all your forces. You also know that I will offer you sanctuary of this planet in exchange for our freedom. Since you have all arrived, I take it as a sign of good faith. Does anyone have anything they wish to comment on before we begin?" Of course, nothing but silence, yet they did look at each other. He continues, "I have papers for you to look over if we were to make this plan a reality." He had his orderlies pass out the papers for everyone to read over. The clanners begin to read very carefully, and there is no sounds except the papers moving. It isn't until almost 2 minutes later that one of the clansmen broke the silence. The Khan of Clan Seafox. "Why are we forbidden from entering zones mentioned on page 3? Sin responds, "As you know, there's more than one government on this planet, and for the sake of peace, we can only allow ships to land in our territories." The Wolf Khan pipes in, "So you plan to present safe places for us when you don't own the planet? The planet itself isn't safe?" Sin responds, "We are in a working peace on this planet. However, the other nations do not trust clan members on their lands at all. It makes the people worried that there is another assault like the one we faced before, possibly coming." The Khan of Steel Viper chimes in, "And what makes you think we will not just take this planet by force?" Sin responds, "Because you're not stupid. Everyone here knows how strong someone fights when they're backed into a corner. We will fight to the last, and on our last breath we will turn this planet into an uninhabitable wasteland." His words cut out rather strong at the end. The clanners know he's being serious. He continues, "Besides, you all wish to have this planet as a staging ground, correct? I'm giving you the opportunity for this without losing any more of your warriors." The last part seems to stick with them as they continue reading. The Jade Falcon Khan eventually chimes in, "I see there's a limit on how much material we're able to bring to the surface at one time." Sin responds, "Is a precautionary measure only." The Wolf Khan's eyes widen. What is this? You are willing to return all warriors to the clans?" All the others begin to flip to the area he's looking at. Sin responds, "I'm giving them the choice. If the treaty is made, then the bondsmen under my command will be given the choice to stay or to return to the clan they are originally from." Continuing, the Jade Falcon Khan responds, "You're willing to do this? Trade people for the planet?" A little annoyed, Sin responds, "Do not misread the statement. The warriors will have the choice. It will be their decision whether to return or not. This seems to please the clan leaders greatly as they continue reading. Near the end, they come across something they don't like. The Sea Fox Khan asks, "Are you truly serious about laying claim to the entire galaxy?" Sin says, "Yes, it's our galaxy after all." Steel Viper Khan, "You have no people on these planets nor their satellites, so you have no claim." Sin responds, "You do not even know which planets or moons are in this galaxy. Do not think you can lay claim to a single one." Jade Falcon Khan, "If we are the first to lay foot on it, then we are the ones that have the right to it." Sin responds, "If that's the case, then you lose. I've already sent ships to every possible planet and moon in the galaxy. If you would like to see the archive video, I can produce it for you. However, we Earthborn humans have already laid claim to this entire galaxy, from its star all the way to its last planet." Sim looks at each of the clanners and gets no more trouble about the planets and their satellites. The clan leaders finish reading and look at each other. As they do so, Sin realizes that everyone is done and says, "I trust this arrangement is to everyone's liking. Each of you has 2 copies of that treaty with my signature on them. When you're ready, please sign them and give a copy to one of my guards behind you." The Steel Viper Khan, "And if we refuse?" Sin responds, "Then you're free to go, but remember this one thing. If you leave without agreeing, then you will no longer be welcome in the solar system. Even if you stop just to recharge your engines on your jump ship, we will open fire on you. Am I making myself clear?" The Wolf Khan, "I see now. You're a warrior like us. But unlike us, you do not strive for conquest." The Wolf Khan seems to smile at him, along with the Jade Falcon leader. Both the girls seem to begin eyeing Sin up and down. They each look at the papers and sign. This puts Sin a little more at ease. Each one is double-checked and placed in their own container. Sin addresses them afterwards. "I thank you all. This day will be marked as a historic day for all of us." A few moments later, one of the orderlies runs in the room and whispers in Sin's ear. Trying not to jump at the news, he addresses them. "Ladies and gentlemen, I'm afraid some urgent business has come up and I must leave. Please take your time and enjoy yourselves. My people will be happy to show you around." With that, Sin hurries out of the room without seeming like he's being rushed. When he reaches the hall, he bolts into a full-on run, yelling, "Get General Garand on the horn as soon as possible." He goes to the war room and screams, "I need a full layout of what's going on." One of the soldiers responds, "Sir, the English islands are making a push across the English Channel. It looks like they're using the same tactics as World War II. The main forces are laying in the Normandy Peninsula, and they're moving to secure the ports up and down the coast. There have been sorties, but no major counterattack as of yet. General Garand and his forces are moving into position as we speak. They should make contact with the main ground forces in only a few short hours. 3, maybe 4 at the most." Sin, "I guess I shouldn't have left them alone. Try to open communications with the English forces." Another soldier responds, "We have been trying, but we haven't gotten any response back, sir." Sin responds, "Then I guess I have no choice. Prepare a transport for me. Something real fast." The sir looks, "Yes, sir, but may I ask what for?" Sin responds, "If they will not listen to a radio, maybe they'll listen to someone in front of them." He turns to the communications soldier. "Make sure you notify me immediately if there's any response. And get a hold of General Garand and tell him that I'm going to talk to the English. Tell him not to fire until fired upon. Is that clear?" "Yes, sir," is all he gets. Sin takes off as the radio man begins to relay the message. The fighter jet is waiting for him when he gets to the airfield, and the pilot helps Sin get on board and begins to taxi as Sin buckles in. The pilot calls back after verifying that Sin can hear him. "So how many G's can you handle, sir?" Respondent, "I don't know. This will be my first time in a jet." The pilot, without turning around, widens his eyes in a true oh shit moment. In that case, I should tell you that the yak sacks are under the seat, sir. Thanks for the warning, he says. Just then, Sin is slammed back in the seat as the jet throttles up and takes off. They fly as fast as they can across the Atlantic. Looking at the radar screen, it's easy to tell that things are about to get real messy. Blips from aircraft and mechs fill the screen as they are scrambled to reinforce the lines. Sin doesn't say a word as the G-forces push him back into his seat. It's only about an hour before they can see the pillars of smoke in the distance. Within communication lines, Sin can clearly hear his soldiers calling for reinforcements and trying to hold the line against the English advance. Then he hears the voice of another aircraft. Unidentified aircraft, you are in violation of our airspace. Identify yourself immediately, or we will fire on you. After getting the thumbs up from the pilot, Sin gets on the radio. This is General Sin of the Earth Confederation Forces. You have been invading our territory on the European continent. I'm here to try to stop the violence before anyone else gets murdered. There's a very long pause. You're American. I was, he responds. Voice responds, I am instructed to escort you to Georgetown Air Base. I'm coming up on your port side. Sin looks, and sure enough, 2 fighters slowly approach and lead him low and slow to the air base inside English territory. When they land, they are greeted by a company's worth of soldiers, all pointing their weapons in his direction. They taxi slowly into an area they are motioned to, and without a word, the pilot begins to open the canopy, and Sin pulls off his helmet and jumps down. Screaming out, he says, "Who's in charge here?" A man steps forward. I am Major Issam, commander of the 8th Aerial Attack Group. Sin holding out his hand. General Sin is commanding forces. They shake hands. And the commander says, please follow me. He leads Sin through a bunch of hallways and stops at the office door. A major knocks on the door. Sir, this is Major Sin. A fat man stands up, putting out his cigarette. Greetings. I'm General Howe. I believe you have an urgent matter to discuss. Indeed we do, Sin replies. Howe sits down and taps buttons on his phone. In a moment, they are in a conference call. He says into the phone, I have him here now. Another voice comes across. All right, then what does he wish to discuss? Sin chimes in, I wish to discuss the end of hostilities on my people. Voice says, your people? Are you one of those Klan bastards? No, born and raised in the USA, Sin replies. Voice, we're simply attacking an alien infestation that has been plaguing our planet. Sin says, then you've been vastly misinformed. The response, really? Then perhaps you can set things straight while we have time. Sin says, you have no idea how right you are. Over a year ago, the old European area of Asia was taken back from the Klan forces that had attacked us. The voice responds, my intelligence told me that Klan forces are alive and well in Europe. Sin replies, you're only half right. Klan people are still alive in the area, but they're no longer under Klan rule. They serve under the Confederation now. The general says, are you sure about this? Sin says, I led the attack that pacified them. The voice across the phone says, if that's the case, then you'll have no problem calling your people off. Sin replies, there's a big problem. You invaded Confederation territory. This is looked at as an act of war against us. The voice on the phone says, the Klans attacked us. Sin replies, and it's obvious that they lost or we would not be talking right now. It was my decision to leave these islands alone. We know that you're able to withstand the first attack because of the respect you earned. We decided to bypass you. The voice across the phone, you speak of respect, yet you demand an audience with us unannounced? Sin replies, time is of the essence. If we do not stop the battle, then Europe's main forces will engage your front line. There is no doubt in my mind that my forces will come out victorious. However, this victory will permanently disrupt any possibility of peace in the region. The general says, what you have said makes sense, but it's not true that you here a counterattack will stop short of ensure your survival. Sin, more than half of my soldiers are former Klan warriors. They will not stop, even if it means pulling my body from the remains of this building if you decide to get froggy and jump. The general replies, then it appears that we are the wrong ones here. Sir, please allow me to give the order to withdraw. The voice across the phone says, that will only dishearten the troops. We have to hold position and reinforce their lines. Sin responds, that's not good enough. That land was hard won. I may be able to give you time to withdraw, but it's only a matter of time before the European forces assault. When that happens, it won't matter how many bodies you place on the line. The voice, your arrogance is not welcome here. Sin replies, I'm just trying to save lives. There's been enough bloodshed already. The voice again says, you do not intimidate me. My troops can hold against anything you have. Sin says, please reconsider. For the sake of you, an explosion rocks the building, and then several other explosions happen. The alarms sound, the grounds are of incoming missiles and shots strafing the grounds. The general yells at the door, what the hell is going on? A soldier screams down the hall, they just came in from under the radar and started shooting. They who? The general asks. Sin calmly says, if I had to guess, that's the 6th Aerial Attack Wing from the European sector. The voice over the phone says, General, what is going on there? The general responds, sir, we're being bombed. The voice says, you're being what? An explosion hits close enough that the pictures on the walls come crashing down. The general pulls his sidearm and puts it to Sin's chest. Call them off. Sin replies, as soon as you give the withdrawal order, I will have them break off. The general, pushing the pistol closer to Sin, then maybe I should just kill you and take my chances. Just then, they hear a strafing run as it puts shells through the same building they're in. This is what's going to happen all over England, Ireland, and Scotland if you don't give your people the order. The general looks up and sees the phone has been shot. You first, he says. Sin simply asks, do I have your word? Yes, the general screams. Sin reaches for a small headset in his pocket that is connected to the radio. Sin speaks in it, get me in touch with the wing commander. A few seconds go by. Wing commander, this is Avel 6 Actual. I am on the ground in your current location. A few more seconds go by as he listens. Confirm, wing commander. Withdraw your forces immediately. When you reach Gulf 6, tell them to scramble recovery units immediately. Avel 6 out. With that, there's no more explosions, just the sound of aircraft throttling up and leaving. Sin looks at the general and states, now it's your turn. General Howe gets on the radio and orders an immediate withdrawal of all his soldiers and supplies from Europe. Sin simply shakes his hand and says, you saved a lot of soldiers today. The general responds, I hope you're right, because I'll probably be stripped of my rank and be totally dishonored for what I've just done. Sin gives him a small grin. Well, if you're ever interested, you can always join the Confederation. The pay isn't very good, but the people are the best. With another slight grin, the general says, I'll think about it. Sin then begins to get up. I have to go. There's going to be a lot of trigger-happy people out there, and I have to keep the safety on. Sin makes his way to the transport. Thankfully, it hadn't been strafed. That has been slightly damaged in the crossfire, though. It takes off into the distance, and it takes some explaining to keep Garan's forces from rushing at the retreating forces. In comparison, the English forces' casualties are far higher than Garan's, but that does not stop the people from taking every loss personally. It is a quick process with all the forces working to rebuild the coastal region. Several more observation stations are set up in case something like this happens again. Garan is very pleased at the professionalism of his soldiers and support, as it takes less than a week for things to be completely restored and calmed down. While Garan is off working recovery, Sin returns and begins to work closely with the clan people. Only a small group come to the planet first. It's found that they will mostly exchange goods for money so that they can enjoy the planet itself. Usually, it is parts for equipment, and in exchange, they buy trinkets from the planet they have conquered, and exchange just as easily. Clan Seafock is a merchant clan and find their way around currency far easier than others do. The most sought-after product are humans' targeting systems and clan medical technology, though neither side is willing to part with it easily. However, there's still the black market. The Confederation counters this by making the sale of military equipment possible, but difficult and rather expensive. The clans are not pleased with it, but they understand the concept of supply and demand. After 2 weeks, there's no more major instances across the planet, and Sin makes an announcement to all clan citizens that they will be allowed to return to the clans if they wish. He says, "There's been talk going around about the influx of clan vessels in the area. It is true that I called them here. It is also true that they have signed a peace treaty with us. Many of you are wondering what that means for you, and I'm here to tell you. As of this moment, all former clan warriors are free to go back to their clan of choosing, or stay as citizens of this government on the earth. Each one of you has until the end of next week to decide for yourselves to stay or go. Clan ships will be coming in regularly, bringing goods to sell and trade. This will help boost our economy. I am hoping that with the first new treaty, we can all finally enjoy the peace we have been fighting for the past 6 years to attain. As now, the clan wars are over." There's a burst of cheering across everyone listening as Sin walks away with Garan and Delphine with him. Don meets them at the vehicle. Don just smiles and Sin gives him a nod with the slightest bit of a smile and says, "We made it." To Sin's amazement, only about 20% take his offer and leave. Usually, it is only the hardcore warriors that leave. Most of the support units remain whole as they find their efforts to truly bear fruit. With clan forces coming in and going out of the galaxy constantly, there is little threat of invasion, and Sin calls for the continued colonization of the planets and moons and satellites within the galaxy. If the planet itself is habitable, then it's given authority over the moons that orbit it. Sin is adamant that the status of a colony be only a temporary measure. However, certain areas are going to be used for specific purposes. Uranus and Neptune have massive training grounds for mechs and aerospace fighters. With the small but constant influx of new soldiers being trained in Earth is relatively sense of safety going on. That is until the word of a new planet in the solar system began to reach the ears of the opportunists. It is not even a year the word is spread about new worlds, and for the mercenaries that begin to be contract carrying out raids on the solar system. At first, the raids come in small doses. The first few are poorly handled from the Green Armies of Earth, but it doesn't take long before workable strategies are in place to counter pirate raids. The new threat is on the horizon.